Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back, it's Jordan here. I've got my tuxedo on and I'm ready to start a very classy build, the Eiffel Tower, which I would consider to be the world's largest Lego set with 10,001 pieces. World map should not get that title, I don't think so. This is the tallest Lego set ever produced. It nearly stands 5 feet tall. Insane. I'm super excited to get started. This is going to be a crazy build. Yeah, let's do it. 4 corners of this thing, they're all the same. So you got to build 4 of these massive corners using some huge 16 by 16 black plates, all sorts of colorful bricks, and some Technic components as well. There's actually not very much Technic in this set at all. Once you get your corners built, you tack them all together, and then you top them with these really cool road plates that are dark tan and olive colors. Next up, we got to fill those corner spots where you see those dark gray road plates. We're actually going to build 4 of the exact same things using some tan slopes. And those are going to be where our bottom supports clip into, and that's where we're going to start going up from there. Now this is a micro scale build, so there's all sorts of micro scale details on the bottom here, such as bushes and trees and all sorts of other greenery. It's pretty basic stuff. I like the trees, they were a pretty good build, but the benches are just 1x2 brown tiles, and the street lamps are just regular telescopes with a little stud on them. So there we go, that's it, that's the base there. You can see our micro scale details, and that's actually the entire first book, and we're about to start book number 2. So book number 1, we created a base for the Eiffel Tower. Book number 2, we're going to start creating our actual structure. So we've got to create 4 of the exact same massive legs. So you create the framework for these legs using plates. 1x6 dark gray plate. I think there's 666 of them. There's a whole bunch of clips that go onto those plates. So it's the 1x1 modified plates with a clip. There was like over 700 of those that go onto these legs, and then you got to create all the different truss work, and those get clipped on there. It uses all sorts of candlesticks and bar elements and connectors and modified studs, and you slowly but surely build 4 sides that are all the same, and they come together to create one big leg, and then you have to create 4 of them. Then once you get your 4 legs built, you're ready to attach them to your base. Just one at a time there. They're actually just connected with studs. There's no Technic pins or anything holding those legs down to the base. However, they are connected using some large Technic bricks at the top there with just a few pins, and then you can see it's a nice square there. Then you just finish that square off with some dark tan plate. We're actually building it upside down, so the studs are not facing up. The studs are actually facing downward. We're not quite done with the base yet. You'll see that it's pretty hollow in the center. So you got to build 4 of the exact same things here using some fence and all sorts of dark gray elements. They're really highly detailed. They look fantastic, and they actually use roller coaster track to create a U shape, which is really neat. I like the look of the dark gray roller coaster track. However, there are some loose bits that get attached to the rungs on the roller coaster track that actually move, and they're sort of hard to get positioned on there so that it looks complete. Once you get those built, they sort of fill in the space between the legs, and then you put some flex tubing running up from the base, actually connecting to that roller coaster track. The base is just massive. That's crazy, look at that. You know what, I will say though, there is a lot of loose components. The candlesticks, like I was mentioning, like on these components here. Also, oh, that roller coaster track's popping off there. This is just a little bit loose because once again, this is the plates right here are facing downward, so the studs are facing downward, and then these just clip in. There's not really anything holding it besides the studs, so it can get a little bit loose if you move it from spot to spot, and all of these components that can move can sort of get misaligned, and these trusses here aren't connected on the side. You see, there's gaps. It sort of bugs me. I don't know if there'd be a way to make that not have a gap. You know, like if there'd be a way to clip it in on either side, like the actual Eiffel Tower, because I guarantee when we have a look at the other sections, I'm only going to mention this once, but I guarantee when we look at it, all of the components are going to be like this. So they're not going to be touching and not actually, you know, do the job, or the structure isn't actually how the Eiffel Tower actually is, because there's just so many loose components that move around so easily. But yeah, it looks really good. You know, you got all your micro scale details down here. The trees are nice. The lamps, the benches, which are pretty basic, just the 1x2 tiles. I like the flex tubing coming up. You got some component or some detail in here. I believe this would be like the elevator, maybe. I'm not too sure. I've never been to the Eiffel Tower, right? I don't really know much about it, but there are some entrances here, I would imagine. That's what this is. And maybe the entrances to elevators or something. One thing I will say about the base here, before we continue actually, is that it's very rugged. Like it's strong. Like it is built like a beast. For some reason, my little roller coaster pieces on the bottom here, they keep falling off. They're just attached by 4 studs. And maybe that flex tubing is causing it to pull downward. But you can see it has a little bit of a range of motion right here. And of course, if you knock things off, they'll knock off. But yeah, the little roller coaster pieces here have a little bit of a range of motion, you see? And they fall off quite easily. But I mean, this is a display piece. What you're gonna do is you're gonna build it, you're gonna put it on display, and then you're not gonna move the thing around, right? It's like any Lego set. If you move it around, things are bound to fall off or shift a little bit or move. But like I was saying, I think there's just a little bit too much movement happening with like the different trusses and these different components that are not 100% secured. But I think once you place it and once you actually get it built and put into position and make sure it's all 100%, it's gonna be fine. Now we've got to build this massive square structure here because we're starting to build the second layer of the Eiffel Tower, if you will. This thing was pretty fun to build. You had to build 3 different components, a lot of repetition in it because it's symmetrical, but it was a masterpiece with all of the little tiny pieces that come together to add so much detail and almost like structure greebling to this large square, which is strong like bull because it's going to support pretty much everything moving upward. Uses all sorts of those great elements, also some really nice windows there, plates, tiles, and once again, very few Technic components. I feel like this square here was a very satisfying system build. Tiles, curved slopes, and plates, all sorts of different stuff coming together to create something that looks very good. But you can see how much detail there is on the side there. Although it is very repetitive, it looks phenomenal. Like look at all those bar elements, the 1x1 studs, the tiles, the telescopes, the ingots, just looks fantastic. And I found it very satisfying to take this large component that I just built and place it onto the base of the Eiffel Tower that we had just constructed. But this thing gets a lot bigger now. That's just like the framework for the next level of the Eiffel Tower. It was rugged, it was strong, and for a good reason, because now we actually have to build the taller component of the Eiffel Tower, which is the second section here. It's a lot more of the same stuff though. More of those plates with the modified clips and then the truss work that comes together to create sort of these large structures, and you have to build 4 of them and clip them onto the base, very similar to how we clipped the original ones onto the base of the total structure there that used all those road plates. In general, you know that I think that this is a very repetitive build, and I still stand by that. If you are considering getting this set, I wouldn't recommend building it in 2.5 days like I did. I would probably space it out over a longer period of time or build it with a partner or family because there's a lot of repetition. So if you can divide that among people, it'll seem a lot more enjoyable and it'd be a good bonding experience. Now that we've got these 4 huge trusses created here, it's time to place them onto that large square base, and that was so satisfying because it looks so good. In addition to that, we've got to create just a few details and clip them to the underside similar to what we did on the base. We got our second section here. You can see the size of it. Yes, very big indeed. We've got some color up top here, also some Technic components that are going to create that groove. And that's how this section, well, it'll sit on this groove here. And then the next section that we're going to build is going to sit on this here. But you can see what I mean. These plates are upside down. So the studs are actually facing down this way. So these components right here are just clipped in spot, similar to how these large ones with the roller coaster track are clipped in spot there. And we've got the same detail on the base as the midsection right there. Overall, pretty satisfying build. Once again, pretty repetitive. So we've got our base, now we've got our second section. Should just pop on, bam, just like that. That's pretty sweet. I like how easy that is. All right, so guess what we're doing now? Pretty much the exact same thing, but in a smaller scale. We're creating the base for the top component of the Eiffel Tower. Lots of great plate work and connector work went into creating this awesome, very, very detailed square, once again, which is going to act as the base, which we will build up from. As you can see, I got my wife to help me out. Like I said, it's good to build this with a partner because there's so much repetition. I was like, Jose, I'm gonna watch the babies for an hour or two. You can see my hands come in there once or twice, but I'm gonna watch the babies for an hour or two so you can get down there and just sort of relax and build some very repetitive Lego. How does that sound? She's like, all right. And then she built one component and it's like, hey, you have to build the rest. So I'm back at it. But yeah, this is very similar. We have to build those trusses once again that are clipped into position in sort of a V shape, and they clip onto the larger component there. But this is where we get all of our height. Well, not all of our height, but a lot of our height, because you see the two components on the right-hand side of the screen? Well, those are about to go on top of one another. But it's pretty cool because the way it tapers upward, those trusses slowly get smaller and smaller and smaller because the gaps between the rails, or whatever you want to call them, get smaller and smaller. So they're all sort of modified. Sometimes you're using candlesticks with one stud, sometimes you're using candlesticks with two studs, etc. And then it's almost ready to finish up the build here. We're hopping on to the last few bags and wrapping it up with bag 74, where we build the very tip of the tower and finish it off with the flag of France. This section of the tower is actually the tallest of the three sections. It has some great part usage on the bottom here, including those curved slopes, some hot dogs, and some fences. Then all of the different truss work leading way up to the top here. I actually have the very tip of the tower removed right now. I'll show you how that goes on in one moment. In the interior, there are some elevator details. You can see a red and yellow elevator right there. This is the tip of the tower. Once again, some great part usage there. Some windows, fences, bars, tiles, hot dogs, snot bricks, curved slopes, and some bucket handles. And then, of course, the flag of France, the very, very top, can actually just be placed on the top of the tower, just like so. And something that shocked me, actually, this large section up top here is attached to this section with 4 tiles. We've got 2 on this side and 2 on this side, because there's just brackets that line up, and then you clip them together using those tiles. I thought that would be a little bit more secure, but it's just 4 tiles holding that all together, which I guess maybe is a good thing, because if you have to move this thing, it would be very easy to split the top section off of this tall component right here. So if you're moving, you just have to remove those 4 tiles, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 components. I've got to sort of search for the appropriate camera angle for this shot. This is the entire tower. We've got our base, the second section, and then the top. Oh, am I too close to that cabinet? Oh, I mean the shelf? No, we're good. I think we got clearance. It should just fit on there. Come on. Whoa, scary. There we go. That would have been scary if it broke on me. Oh, that would have been treacherous. Look at that. There we go. Eiffel Tower, fully assembled. Boom. Awesome. Huge. It's so tall. Wow. That's crazy. So there we have it, fully constructed. Holy cow, that thing is tall. It almost touches my ceiling. I can barely reach the top of it. In fact, I can't reach the top of it. There's the flag of France way up there by the Ford Raptor. That is insane. It is so big. Like, it is just like almost stupid big, but you know what? Go big or go home. The Lego Group made the largest Lego set, besides the world map, of all time with 10,001 pieces. That is crazy. So everybody, there we have my build and detailed review of the new Eiffel Tower. This thing is like crazy big. It is a statement piece, a very rewarding build. It takes a very long time to build, and you have to have endurance if you want to do it in a short period of time, because it is very repetitious, as we have been seeing throughout this video. But it looks magnificent. It is simply incredible. It sort of appeals to a niche market, but I feel as though there's a lot of Lego fans out there that are going to want to get this set just because it is such a significant upgrade from its predecessor, which came out in 2009. Yeah, like this thing is absolutely insane. I hope you enjoyed my video. I had a heck of a time building it. It sort of got to me mentally sometimes, but I got through it and I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's pretty fantastic and it's gonna look fantastic here in the Lego room, that's for sure. I think it's gonna go here. I don't think it's gonna go in the city. I might test that out in some other videos that'll come out in the near future. But I have been building this and filming this video all day and it's now like 2 in the morning, so I don't really want to be lugging this thing around right now. Let me know what you think of this set by commenting below. I think it appeals to a niche market because it's very large, it's very expensive, and just not everybody's gonna have the budget or the space to display this awesome set or to buy this set. Thank you so much for coming on by. I hope you enjoyed. Remember, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Farewell.